Welcome back into the Retirement Chef for Whipping Up Wealth with Brian Butler. He's the CEO and Senior Wealth Advisor with Wealth Standard Financial. My name is Kevin McAlpin, and of course, we appreciate you joining us here on the show. Friendly reminder, that number to reach Brian and his team at Wealth Standard Financial is 832-957-9008. Again, it's 832-957-9008 or online at wealthstandardfinancial.com. Well, Brian, I don't have to worry about this just yet. I have an almost 10-year-old, so I've still got like 5-ish years until I've got to worry about them driving. But the thought, I don't know about you, like the thought of my son in just a few years getting behind the wheel, that terrifies me, man. It scares the heck out of me.
Hey, I'm in the same boat. My daughter will be 9 next month, and the idea of her going from that to being behind the wheel, it's terrifying. Now I see what parents have gone through, and my parents went through. You never stop worrying, and so you just kind of try to prep them for the future.
Yeah. I've watched him ride a bike. Sometimes it's not very pretty, so it just scares me. I don't know what's more scary, though, the thought of him getting behind the wheel or the thought of what the insurance bill is going to look like once we do add a child on. That's scary in and of itself, isn't it?
I'm more terrified of that insurance bill because think almost 10 years from now or almost 6 or 7 years from now, you know it's going up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. Now, I'm terrified of that. So I got to build that into my financial plan.
Exactly right. If you'd like to do the same, give Brian a call. That number is 832-957-9008. We talked a lot earlier in the show about building into your financial plan for the unknown. Well, this is not an unknown. You know this is coming down the road, and that's why Brian is here. 832-957-9008. I bring up the kids driving, though, because it's a whole new world out there. When you and I started driving, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have technology. We weren't texting while we were driving, which obviously is illegal in a lot of states around the country. But I saw this here recently, Brian. Police are really starting to crack down, and they're doing so, listen to this, with AI traffic cameras. Now, they'll snap a picture, send it to an officer waiting nearby. They will then pull the offender over. So really, it's sort of the combination of humans and technology merging as one. I bring it up because as a financial advisor, you're probably utilizing technology a whole lot more today. So if you could share with our listeners some of the examples of ways you use technology to put retirement portfolios and plans together.
Well, technology is one of the greatest things to ever exist and one of the worst things to ever exist. It's all in how you use it. We are huge adopters of technology. I love technology. Anything that's going to make my life easier, to help my clients make their lives easier, is what we try to do. We have tons of software that we have to learn, but just like in a restaurant, Gordon Ramsay can have the same ingredients as me and you, but come up with something totally different. And it's the same thing for software. Software helps, but it doesn't do the planning. It doesn't connect it to what's important to you. And so using tax software, income distribution software, accumulation and investment portfolio, it never ends. We have a laundry list of software. I went through our software stack the other day, and once I got to 10, I was like, wow, I didn't realize I was using this many things. But the way we have them set up, they're so integrated. They give us answers quicker. And then it helps us get data that clients can actually use, because just having data and not knowing what to do with it doesn't help anybody. Mm-hmm. We can get to the data quickly and then apply it to clients' lives and their financial plans. And so technology is one of those things that is going to be ongoing, that we live with. You're not going to get away with it in your working life unless you want to live off the grid, which people are doing left and right.
Yeah.
We believe in using technology, but applying it to the humanity of our interactions. And so we don't want to just be numbers people. We want to be those partners that can hold your hands through the good times, the bad times, because, we've had clients pass away. We've had clients get sick, and it's always horrible. But when you can see how the planning that we did affected the family, made that a little bit easier, you really get validated in what you're doing as a financial planner. And that's why we love the mix of technology with the humanity.
Saw a story here recently that younger folks in their 30s and 40s were essentially relying on AI technology. That was their retirement plan. Now, while it is evolving, right, I think we all agree it's becoming a bigger part of all of our lives. That's not a finished product by any means. That AI technology is also not sitting in a room right across from you like your own mother did to put her plan together and really taking the time to get to know their clients. So while I'm sure it is helping or at least evolving, it's still not by any means a finished product, right?
Absolutely not. So think back in the late 90s when the internet first came out. Could you have predicted what the internet is today from then? So I still remember that scene on the Today Show. Bryant Gumbel and Katie Couric are looking at the @ symbol that's in an email address, and they were like, "What is that? Like, why would I need an email? An email? That makes no sense." And it was a whole segment on the Today Show. Now, I guarantee they probably have 10 or 15 email addresses and can do all kinds of stuff. There were movies. Remember that movie, You've Got Mail?
Oh, yeah.
With Tom Hanks? Mm-hmm. And so when you hear the dial-up on that, I let my daughter hear that dial-up sound, and she was like, "What is that?" I said, "That's the internet. That's what it used to sound like."
Yeah.
And so when you're seeing all of this, AI is just in its infancy. People are learning what ChatGPT is and are using it and the other AI tools. But what are you going to do with it? You can't let it take over your life. So, but it's a fun journey, just like the internet was a fun journey, good and bad.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know, it's amazing. I saw this here. You got me just Googling it real quick. The You've Got Mail guy, right? We can all hear that in the back of our heads. All of us who are old enough, we remember that voice. Do you know what he was paid to record that You've Got Mail that is now infamous in our pop culture?
What was he paid?
$200. $200. Isn't that incredible?
That is crazy.
I'm still old enough to remember being online, the dial-up, and then mom would pick up the phone to make a call, and it would bump you off. See, kids these days, they just don't know how any of this works, do they?
I remember for sure in college hitting a button and then having to go. I went to lunch, then went to basketball practice, came back, and it had just downloaded the document. And so can you imagine that right now? And it was something so simple that this took an hour and a half to download.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
It's incredible. Now we can watch TV in our pocket. I mean, it's just, the times have changed. There's no doubt about it. Technology continues to evolve, and it continues to evolve when it comes to retirement planning as well. And it's something that Brian utilizes every single day. We mentioned it just a little while ago, Wealth Flow 360. If you'd like to learn more about Wealth Flow 360, visit them on the website, wealthstandardfinancial.com, or you can give Brian and his team a call today at 832-957-9008. That's 832-957-9008. Well, Brian, I want to shift gears with you here a little bit because I saw a story here about a 73-year-old widow who was waging a 13-year war with her late husband's longtime employer. Now, at the issue was a $53,000 pension, which the company refuses to give her. Why? Well, because he failed to fill out a form that made her the beneficiary upon his death. Now, obviously, that is a big mistake when it comes to the world of estate planning. If you could, Brian, though, fill our listeners in on maybe some other mistakes folks make when it comes to estate planning, and more importantly, how we can avoid ending up like this woman.
Well, when it comes to estate planning, it's a huge part of everything you do from a financial planning standpoint. And the way I look at estate planning is really a gift that you're giving to your family and friends, because you're taking some of the stress off of them to try to figure out what you actually wanted. Mm-hmm. Estate planning is defining what you want to happen when you're gone. You're no longer able to make those decisions. So failing to plan is the first step. So just having an idea of what you want to happen. You don't need to figure out exactly how to do it. You just need to figure out what you want. And then get with a partner. Like we talk to people and talk them through everything that they're trying to accomplish and how they can get there. And so then we start to execute. And then not updating the plan frequently happens all the time. Mm. So people forget healthcare directives are part of your estate plan and your financial plan. So helping your family know what if something happens to you, what they need to do. So that's a huge part. Beneficiaries. People forget about beneficiaries all the time, just like in that story that you talked about. The guy that had Marilyn Monroe's rights to her likeness and everything lost them in a divorce with his wife, who ended up keeping them. So how many millions and millions of dollars was that just from a form that could have been filled out? So updating the plan frequently, understanding what you want and then defining it, and then tell your family, or at least let them know where documents are so that they can access them if something happens to you. We give clients what we call a knock box, NOK, so next of kin. And so we give them a box to where they can have everything organized, all the important documents in their life. It's fireproof, it's waterproof, and they can say, hey, everything's in this box. If something happens to me, go get it. You'll know what to do. Having powers of attorney in place if something happens to you, but being careful with those powers of attorney. You don't want, some people don't trust other people in their families.
Right.
And if that's you, okay, get a third party, get a lawyer, get somebody else to help you with that. And then, people are going to have different types of trust to fund. So you have a couple different ways to look at your estate plan. So you have a will-based estate plan, or you have trust-based estate plans. They each have pros and cons. The will, you're going to have to go through probate. Who gets rich during probate? Usually the lawyers.
Right. Right.
But that's the starting point. Yeah. Then if you want to define things a little bit more, decide who's getting what, when, and have a little bit more definition, you're going to go get a trust-based estate plan, or some combination of both. But understanding what that is, defining it, and then the thing that people don't take into account when they're defining their estate plan is the effect of taxes. If you structure it properly, you can leave out the government from your estate plan if it's structured properly. If not, okay, you're going to have to pay your estate taxes and whatnot. But if you can structure your plan ahead of time to where the majority of your money goes to your family rather than a healthcare facility or the government, giving it to my family or the organizations that I care about most makes the most sense for me. Mm-hmm. So defining all of those things, having a plan, updating it frequently, getting your family involved, getting your legal documents together in the structure of your estate plan, and then around taxes, you do that. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And you hear me talking about it, it's a lot. Have a partner, and that's why we build estate planning is a huge part of Wealthflow 360. So we start you with our tax and estate tune-up in Wealthflow 360. That's a detailed structure. So working through projects when you're going through your financial plan is huge, because that's one major project. And once we go through that, okay, we've defined that. Now we can move on. And then we just keep building momentum from there.
And let's be honest, Brian, this is not exactly the conversation that you want to have at Thanksgiving dinner, planning for when you're gone. But let's be honest, when it comes to the retirement planning as a whole, this might be one of the more important things folks need to check off their list. Have that conversation. Make sure everybody's on the same page and knows what happens and what your wishes are when you're gone. Because again, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when, right?
No, absolutely. So there's a friend of mine that always says this term. She goes, clear is kind. Mm. So the more clear you are, the better it is for the other person, because nobody wants to be in limbo, because that limbo feeling builds anxiety, and nobody likes anxiety. And so if your family members and the people that are closest to you know exactly what you want, it makes everything so easy. And so I had an uncle that passed away a couple years ago that didn't have a lot of money, was a former military. You walk into his house, it's spotless. Like I've never seen, he had throw covers on his couch. There was not a crease in them at all. I was like, did he iron the couch? I just don't understand. He was meticulous. The books on his shelves, everything. Didn't have a lot of money. But when he passed away, he had a document that he told people to get. We pulled it out. It had everything listed 1 through 20 that he needed done, that it was paid for, that step by step on what they needed to do, his beneficiaries, what they got, documents here, who got what in his house. It was the best. It was one of the best estate plans with somebody without a lot of money that I've ever seen. Wow. So if he can do it, everybody could do it. Mm-hmm. And so it was such a gift to not have to stress about it. And then you can spend the time actually worrying about and thinking about him and the life he lived. Yeah. And so having an estate plan in place is paramount.
If you'd like more details, how to get that estate plan in place, or anything else that Brian and I have covered over the course of our show, retirement planning, investment managing, of course, insurance, and so much more. Again, it is important to have those conversations. I know it's not the one you want to have, but it's probably the one you need to have. And if you would like more information on that estate planning, give Brian a call today at Wealth Standard Financial. That number is 832-957-9008. 832-957-9008. Or you can click the Talk with an Advisor button on the homepage at wealthstandardfinancial.com. All right, coming up next, we're going to tell you why one big league ball player changed his mind when it came to hanging up the spikes. We'll get to that and more as we continue with the Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth with Brian Butler, CEO and Senior Wealth Advisor at Wealth Standard Financial, right after this.
The opinions voiced in The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth with Brian Butler are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Guests on The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth are not affiliated with CWM LLC. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.